So without further ado, I'd like to introduce one of our two speakers, Erin Yu. Erin is the co-founder of Herbibobo Creative Studio. She majored in integrated design during her college years, and after graduating, she spent 5 years living in New York City, where she gained insight into the wastefulness of a highly consumptive lifestyle within the same time and space and environment. During her time in New York, Erin began connecting with resource conservationists and equality advocates, actively participating in initiatives such as Freeganism Trash Tour and the Really, Really Free Market. In 2019, during the Voiceless Week of Truth, she embraced a vegan lifestyle and became an animal rights advocate. Her activism includes involvement in disruptive actions with DxE New York, participation in the Animal Rights March, and volunteering at Woodstock Farms Sanctuary and Skylands Animal Sanctuary and Rescue. Upon returning to Taiwan, Erin and her husband jointly established and managed Herbibobo Creative Studio, which remains committed to their mission of advocating for animal rights. So without further ado, please give it up to Erin.
Hi. So, hi everyone. So, sorry, I would just like to double check if the Eddie, you're gonna play the slides, right?
Yes, I got it now. If it doesn't work on your end, I'm happy to do it from my end.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I just sent you the slides. Do you mind to play on your end? Because I couldn't. I think I have some issue to play it from my end. Yeah. So, hi everyone. I'm Erin, and then today I'm gonna talking about creating empathy towards non-humans through storytelling. Do you mind to go to the next page? Okay, so I'm gonna just introduce myself really quick. So my name is Erin, which I just introduced. And then, well, I went vegan and started to participate in animal rights related social movement and events started during like 2019 or 2020. So, and after returning to Taiwan, we started to do me and my husband, we're running Herbibobo Creative Studio together, doing illustration, animation, comics, storyboard, personal proposal writing, event planning, and then we try to involve as much as possible animal rights message during our work. And then could you go to the next page? And then, so there's supposed to be an alert, but about, okay, so it should be another page during, in between these two pages, there's a alert. But anyway, I'm gonna just verbally tell you some of the parts of the presentations may contain some images about the slaughterhouse or some images that might uncomfortable you. So if you guys feeling not comfortable, you just feel free to let me know, or maybe just close the screen. Okay, and then, okay, so before we started, I do have two questions for everyone. You could type on your answer down, or you don't have to answer, that's fine, but you can kind of just think about it. The first question is, what is storytelling? Okay, and then the second one, we can go to the next page. And then what's the relationship between storytelling and animal rights advocacy? So how that's more be like, how could storytelling help us to we're doing the animal rights advocacy? So you can have maybe like 30 seconds to think about it, and then feel free to type down your answer. Okay, if you all have your answer, then we can go to the next slide. Okay. Okay, so to be honest, these were the two questions that keep popping into my head the most past few years while I'm planning or doing my advocacy projects, like what I'm gonna do so that people can get the informations correct. And then because I want it to be easy swallowed, but also telling the truth. Because for me, at least, the whole point is about the truth, to telling people what's actually happening right now. And then we can see the picture of here. That's the truth and storytelling, the imagination of truth and storytelling in, I would say, in most of people's thinking. It's like the truth is pretty, not like bloody, but you can see the pig there, you can tell they're struggling. And then that's what's happening in the industry. And what they told us, the storytelling, we're thinking it's a cute image, and then the pigs, they look happy. And through this case, we can tell this is basically sugar coating. So keep thinking, could it be balance between telling the truth, and then we don't need to sugar coating, but people are easy to swallow? And I'm keep thinking, is storytelling necessarily being sugar coating? So that's the question I've been keep thinking about. Okay, let's go to the next page. So I went online and Googled what is storytelling, and this is what Google says. So storytelling is well, social and culturally activities. So sharing stories, sometimes with some improvisation, and then theories. So that means, well, at least my understanding, the whole point is about information. So then we can go to the next page. Okay, so all is about information. The most important thing is the receiver, whoever receiving the message through your story, no matter if it's image or a verbal or like text or anything. So the point is we could let the message spread efficiently. That means the message won't be blocked out of your heart. At this time, I think empathy is really important, which means you could telling whatever message you want to share with audience or the message receiver, they could actually get the message that what you want to tell them. So we can go to the next page. So when it comes to animal rights, like the movement of advocacy, then we talk about empathy, that we know that every different group or every different people, the way they could receive the informations are all different. Because some of them, when you see the image like this, like you can tell this chicken is suffering. So then we just very directly show the image to the message receiver. They can see, okay, so this chicken is suffering, and then if I want to stop this, I need to stop eating them, something like that. They need to see like really realistic or pretty, not like bloody, but really realistic image, so that they could get maybe empathy, they could receive the message. But some of people, they will feel like this is too intense, I couldn't handle that. When at the first time the first moment they see the message, the image, they already shut down their like heart, the door of the heart. So they've already have the feeling like, oh, I don't want to receive this message. Okay, so please go to next page. So there's what I start to think of, maybe we can try different way, maybe through illustration or some events that could also spread the information and message that people won't be that super hesitate at the first moment, and then after they kind of get accepted, and they would more willing to know more about what we're saying. And then we can go to the next page. Okay, so I'm gonna share some of my experiences and then the way I'm doing all the projects. So this is the one of the aquarium in Taiwan that we are trying to showing people that they're not treating the animal well. So we had some of the signs, and then the image, and then some of it is a picture, some of them are the illustration. And then we can go to the next page. Okay, so at this side, we have two pictures. The left one is also the aquarium one, and then the right one is one of the Animal Rights March, I think 2019 in New York. So we went to the shop, and outside the shop, we're just doing some chanting, and then we made, I think we shouted at their customer, like shame on you or something like that. And those are like different ways, and these kind of ways, I won't during the event, I feel like the energy is pretty aggressively angry, and then some of the people, you can tell they're pretty kind of scared or something. And during that time, I think this is pretty I don't know, just like, I don't know how to describe it, but scaring people. And so I start to think if there's a different way to approach people. I'm not saying this way it's like useless or something, but I do notice some of people get scared. And then we can go to the next slide. Okay, and so this is the Sam Animal March, and then we make some masks, and then not like costumes, but this is the I think for me that's the twist of me starting to want to include some of the art parts in whatever I'm doing, because also the empathy, besides the message receiver, also it's pretty important for us, because for me it's like, if you are really if you can get empathy in what you're doing, and then you're really enjoying it, that it could last longer, because during the whole movement, I think it's pretty easy to get burnt out. So I'm just trying to include some of my interest and what I'm doing into the movement. And then we can go to the next slide. So this is the process while we are doing the mask. And then actually during that March, a lot of people get interested because we're wearing that mask, and then they think it's pretty, and then they want to know what we're doing. So first I get their interest, and then I could kind of like explain more about animal rights to them. So that's the first time I figure, okay, so that's not the only way that I can do the animal rights advocacy. Okay, then let's go to the next slide. And also I was a face painter, so I started to do like the volunteer face painting, doing different kind of events. And then that's also when I feel like, okay, that's another way to approach people and then also spread the message. So I just do a lot of animal face painting. And then during the, when I'm painting the kids, I could kind of like talk to them. So I think to find our own skills, and then the skills is kind of like balance and balance into your life, and it's really helps to find your group that you can create the conversations and create the platforms so that the message could be received easily. And then we can go to the next slide. And this is the works that me and my husband's doing together. Mostly he creates the illustration. So through the illustration, you can kind of tell the message is also clear, but in just focus on the few points that we want to emphasize. And then we can go to the next page. And then we, besides illustration, we also do the music video with some also activists. So the songs are also about, some of them are animal rights or the living justice, those kind of things. And then these are the names of the songs. You guys, you can Google it. They're nice songs. And then we can go to the next slide. So basically that's what we're trying to do, like different things like art related to spread the animal rights message. And then this is the animal rights march in Halloween that we held. And then also we get the Reroots program on this the animal rights march. So we can go to the next page. Okay, so this is actually the fourth events that we held in Taiwan. The first one is in 2020. So the idea is we want to kind of do an animal funeral during the Halloween. So we'll take their pictures, and then we'll make the animal mask, and then we'll go to different places and like the department store, like food courts, those kind of places, and then just do the mooring, and then we'll just standing there and just do the funeral stuff. And then we can go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the next year. We went to the music festival, which are have more young people. And then the same time we went to also to do the to the beach and then do the cleaning. And we can go to the next slide. So after those 2 years, we're thinking the interactive with people are a little bit too less during the event. So in this year, we also include we'll basically make a gun with paper and then put the money shape, the fake money on it, and then we'll ask the people on the street to kind of like shoot us, like pretending to shoot us. And then so well, most of them are kids, and then the kids will kind of, through using that to kill animal, will kind of like know what we're talking. And then also after the part, we'll kind of talk to the kids, and then they'll kind of know what we're doing. So that's the first year we include this part, and then we can go to the next page. Okay, the next page, this is for this year, and then we this is also the first year we're doing in Taipei. And then we can go to the next slide. So this is the basically preparing, and then we get more people this year, and then few of the influencer participating as well. And then we can go to the next slide. And then this is what the shooting part. And then we can go to the next slide. Okay, so besides the interacting with people, we also will take some pictures, or we'll stand in front of the animal products selling places. And this is, you can tell this is the restaurant, and then we'll just hold the animal's picture and standing there for like about 10 minutes-ish in each location. And then we can go to the next slide. So besides, for the past few years, we mostly focus on the food industry, but this year we also include some other industry like fashion. And then we can go to the next slide. And this is also about the fashion industry. Okay, and then we can go to the next slide. Okay, so for myself to doing all of the actions and event, I think the most important thing is to choosing the methods that align with your personal, your skill, your life. Then you will get the empathy with yourself, and then so that you can find the group, and then you can kind of give other people the empathy. So because I think it's pretty important that you are have really strong feeling about it, so that you can kind of let other people to get the message easily. And please go to the next page. And this is the picture book we're working right now. That's also, for us, that's also a new way or a new method that we could try about. So we'll kind of compare the reality, what they're facing right now, and then if the animals are living happy, so what's the scenario will look like. So the book will be published next year, and then that would also be, I'm pretty exciting about it. Hopefully everyone could find their own way that could to do the animal rights advocacy, and then we can do it for a long time. Yeah. Sorry, this is my first speech, so I'm like super nervous. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. That's about it.
Thank you so much, Erin. That was amazing presentation. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing like your honest journey of finding different ways to communicate the voices of animals to different audiences. using your creativity. And I love the fact that you said at the end, like the activism starts with yourself. Be more empathetic towards yourself first. I really believe in that too. And what a talent you and your husband have. Amazing work that you're doing. Thank you so much. And I just also wanted to share, yes, Erin, if you want to share your social media links or website links in chat right now for the audience, please do that. People have been asking for it. And I just wanted to reflect on some of the things that audience has shared in chat in response to your question, what is storytelling? So I saw a few people mentioning the word so provoking emotions and provoking thought was one thing that I definitely saw in chat. And I think that's a good segue to Rithika's presentation next, talking about what emotions you may want to evoke and what feelings we want to evoke with storytelling. But another thing I saw in chat was people talking about giving a voice to animals. Otherwise they wouldn't have the voice. So using the storytelling to give the voice to animals. Thank you everyone for sharing that in chat as well. And Erin, your presentation was amazing. Thank you so much. So moving forward to the next speaker, I would like to introduce Rithika Ramesh. Rithika is a film graduate with experience in film production and writing. After she turned vegan in 2009, she decided to start a vegan bakery and also contributed as a writer and event organizer for various vegan publications. She has made the conscious choice to dedicate her career and utilize her skills in support of the animal rights movement, and she is currently the campaign manager for India at Generation Vegan. Over to you, Rithika, take it away.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining in. I'm going to quickly share my screen so that I can start the presentation. Okay, so Ellie, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. As you all know, I work with Generation Vegan, and we're a nonprofit, and we're dedicated to educating people about the environmental, ethical, personal, and public health benefits of adopting a vegan lifestyle. Through our website, we offer nutritional guidance and support to anyone who would like to begin their vegan journey. We also provide free plant-based meals to the underserved communities and essential workers in over 20 countries. What we're perhaps most well known for is our $1 million challenges that when we petition organizations and individuals to think about adopting veganism. The most recent one being the Earthshot campaign. We film and publish videos in 6 different languages, and we are hoping that, with the kind of content through our social media channels and our website, that we are able to provide access to information for advocates, for years to come. So today's session is about the power of visual storytelling, and I'm going to go a bit, talk a little bit about how the stories have shaped us and how we can use stories effectively in our advocacy. So like Erin was saying, and she also asked everybody what a story is. Stories have been handed down to us for so many years, as a part of learning and also to pass on knowledge. And a good story engages our curiosity. It also sparks our imagination, and it has the potential to bring about change, which is what all of us want. So how can we use these stories in being more effective advocates for the animals? And to look into that, first I want to go a little bit back in history and look at the stories that shaped us. The stories that shaped us are stories that we grew up with, and in every culture, it could be something different. For me in India, Tom and Jerry was really popular, and these are stories that we see, that we grew up seeing about the way animals were, and they helped us connect to all these animals. Some of them were in books, some of them were in Disney films. They humanized these animals for us, and for many of us, including me, I got to learn a lot about these animals from the stories that I watched, through these fictional stories. At the very same time, there were also stories that distorted our view. And these are stories that could be culturally specific. So for us here in India, one of the stories that is very entrenched in our minds is the one of the holy cow. And this visual that you see on your screen is something that's etched into everybody's minds, the holy cow, the beautiful goddess feeding her calf. So much so that even today, when we confront people about what really happens in the dairy industry, it's very, very hard for them to erase this picture. It's very hard for them to believe that the calf is not getting her milk before it is being sold for human consumption. A lot of Indians live in non-urban areas, so animals and humans are in very close contact with each other, and the story goes that animals are treated like family. So these are stories that have distorted much of what we know about where our food comes from and how the animals are being treated. Sometimes we also see it in storybooks, and the use of language is very important. And the cow gives us milk, the sheep gives us wool. It's made, we're made to believe that the animals are giving us these things and not that we are taking it from them. Then, of course, there is the stories that we see in the media of the ads of the happy animals, or very powerful ways of cutting our connection with where these food products are coming from by showing the importance of these animal products in our diets. With the use of children, it could be with the use of sports personalities, it could also be with informative advertising, using things like, using terms like it's healthy or it benefits you, and then using powerful statements that make people believe that they need to eat these things to feel a certain way. At the very same time, there are also stories that can disrupt this facade. While they are not as prominent as the stories that we saw just before this, these stories do exist, and these stories do give us a glimpse into how animals actually are. And some of you may recognize some of these images. This is from a documentary called My Octopus Teacher. The documentaries, like even this one, 73 Cows, very, very powerful ways in which animals and human lives have been shown to us. Then, of course, there's a very important work of animal rights activists who go undercover. They put their life on the line, as we've been seeing recently, and trying to show us what really goes on behind these closed doors. And not to forget the influence that influential celebrities have to make a difference and to say these stories that people can connect with. Here we look at a little bit about stories that have the potential to unite us. And now these are some films that are on our YouTube channel. And what we try to do is try to tell stories at the intersection of the animal and the human rights movement also, so that people find something, to connect to beyond connecting with what animals are going through, to show them that all oppression is connected, to show them that we should see and hear and experience what other people go through, and we want to amplify the voices of and the perspectives of communities that have been marginalized. And then we look at the stories that have the potential to transform the world. So we all unknowingly have the power to change the world. I truly believe that. And many of us, in our very own small ways, have the potential to say stories, even if it makes one individual change the way they think about where their food comes from or where their clothing comes from. So I think that all of us have the potential to transform the world through storytelling in our own ways, in whatever way is possible. And then I just want to go a little bit into what makes a story powerful. And that, of course, is good storytelling. We've been taught, maybe as kids, some of us have been taught in school, that a story has a beginning, middle, and an end. And this is something that I really think that helps people retain the stories, retain the information more. When you have a sequence of events, when you show them a story in a particular way. So a lot of social media almost always talks about this hook, and we even experience it ourselves when we are mindlessly scrolling through social media, looking at these stories that people are presenting to us. The first 5 seconds is what is really keeps us engaged, and that's called a hook. So if we have this hook, to grab the audience's attention, it's so important, because the films then, or the stories then, will be able to grab the attention of the audience right from the start, and they'll keep them there. Part of achieving this is not spoon feeding them all the information upfront. If you tell them everything they need to know, then people tend to tune out, and people tend to not watch your story fully. So it's better to tease them with little bits of information and then draw them in so that they stay there throughout. And one of the ways to do that is to have a very clear way of telling your story, because unless your story is easy enough for them to understand, they will not be engaged enough to see what is going on, because they won't be able to make the connection. So clarity is very undervalued quality in storytelling. It can be very hard to achieve, because you know your subject inside out, and you think that you understand what is going on. So it helps to have your story, or tell your story to a few different people, and then get feedback from them. For example, if you're making a video, when you make it, you're beginning to look at it from a very subjective lens. So it's always nice to have an objective viewpoint, and to get somebody else's view on what they think how your story is, and also if they have views on how they can make it better. So your story has to lead to something, and that's what really keeps people engaged, keeps people in it throughout. One of the ways is to make it entertaining, and the other way is to make it compelling. Now, your audience's time is very valuable. So if you give them something that they'll enjoy watching, this is not always possible, because we tell very difficult stories. But we have to remember that we are competing against some really well-funded advertising and media, like films and music promos and celebrity movies, and some of the best television that's ever been produced. So we shouldn't assume that our audiences are going to be as interested in our subject as we are. But if we provide them something that they can connect with and they can engage with, then we'll be able to keep them hooked. But we'll also be able to, it's very important to understand that we need to compel them, or we need to make them think that they need to take action. And that's what all of us want. All of us want our audience to watch our stories and think that that's something that they need to do. Now, how do we do this? There are certain ways of doing it. I will be talking about how, and I'll also tell you why that video is what is really helping tell these powerful stories. Video, we have seen that it really helps people to retain the information that is being said, because when you hear something, you remember it maybe for a few days. When you see a picture with it, you remember it slightly better. But the moment that you have a video and you deliver your information through it, most of it is retained. What also helps is that video boosts engagement. And this is very important because we want people to engage with our story, but at the same time, we want them to see more of our stories. So if you have a story that is keeping them occupied enough for them to want to spend more time watching and learning more about what you're saying, then that really helps, because then it helps us, it helps the movement, and it helps the audience learn more than what they signed up for. It's also important to remember that not all videos are equal, and I will tell you why. When we looked a little bit at the data from about 150 of our videos across social media channels, we saw that the impressions were higher on some channels compared to the rest, but the engagements were not really equal, in the sense that the engagement rate on certain channels were much more than the others. This could be because of the nature of those channels, but this also helps us understand how to create and tell these stories in a better way for specific channels. Now, when we looked at all our engagement and all our views and conversions, we noticed that most of it was, or a lot of it was, generated by only 10% of our videos. And then we saw that these videos are more often than not personal stories. They are personal stories from people. When somebody tells you their own story, you catch a glimpse of a worldview, you catch a glimpse of their view, which might not be very similar, or it could be similar to yours. But when we see the world as they do and we walk in their shoes, we experience something with them, and we start to empathize with them. And first-person narratives usually help in in explaining or telling these stories better. Because storytelling and listening is a two-way process. When I am telling you something, when I'm talking to you, or when I'm telling you my story, our brain patterns begin to mirror one another. We're connecting and we're empathizing with each other, but not only at an emotional, but now we're also connecting at a physical level. Now, this brings me to the importance of the power of one. The human brain, for many of us, I can't say all of us, the human brain has a certain bias when it comes to understanding the scale of certain things. For example, when we talk about millions or billions, these are numbers that I cannot fathom what they look like, what they seem like. So the importance of this power of one can even be used when we tell these stories. For example, if I show you this image of broiler hens at a farm, an industrial farm, versus if I show you this image, you're able to connect more with the suffering of this hen. When I show you this image of many little pigs versus this one, the empathy, the connection is much more when I show you individual animals. And I'd like to put that theory to the test. I will show you a few images. I will not say anything, and I'll show you one set of images, and then I will show you another set of images. And I would like for you to see and experience and feel what you think helped you connect better. So here we go. And now I'll show you the second set. So yeah, hopefully, if you've understood, or if you felt the same way that I do, that the second set of images is helps me convey my story slightly better. It may not work for everybody, but for most of us, we tend to connect more when we see the suffering of individual animals. The idea is also to keep it simple. This goes back to when I was talking about having a clarity of thought in your messaging. I'm going to share 2 videos now. They're very short videos, both of which I shot on my phone while walking, in my city in Mumbai. Hopefully it'll play well. And the second one. I'll play it again. So both of these are just very, very short ways of telling a story. The first one was, of course, accompanied by text, but the second one, I have included the text in the caption, which I'm not sharing here, but I can share this separately with you all in the chat box. These are just very simple ways of explaining to people who may not know what happens, in these industries. Now, the kind of work that we do, it's very hard to, stay afloat and always be positive. But it's important to know that having hope is essential, because it can make the present moment less difficult for us. And it's quite difficult to bear when you think about all the stories that we are yet to share, and all the stories that are happening every single second. I'd just like to end by saying there is hope for a happily ever after, and that I hope that all of us can share stories in any way we can, and that we should know that every individual has the potential to make a difference. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much, Rithika. I hope you could see the chat as well. There are lots of positive comments and feedback in chat as well, so please make sure to refer to them too. Yeah, I really enjoyed your presentation, especially around like the importance of like having this knowledge actually when it comes to storytelling. And I'm so grateful that there are people like you in this movement with this knowledge who are also happy to share this knowledge with us, because as Poppy, I think, commented in chat, marketing has always been an effective to sell an idea, and that's how the industry always wins, and they just never stop. And it's so true. There are advertising agency executives with this kind of storytelling knowledge. And as you said, Rithika, I think we have been exposed to that kind of ideas and propaganda without realizing. So I'm just hopeful that you have that kind of knowledge in our movement as well. And there are artists like Erin as well who can make it happen in creative ways. Thank you so much again, Rithika. So I would like to jump into a panel discussion now. So yes, thank you, Trung. So I had 3 prompts, but I will probably jump into the second one already, because we might have to wrap up slightly earlier than we expected. So here's the question. I will just paste it in chat as well. So what are the pros and cons of anthropomorphizing animals? And that term is very difficult. I didn't know what it means either. It means using human terms to speak about animals. So we often interpret animals' emotions using human terms, like my dog is having a separation anxiety. I think we heard some terms during your presentation as well, or this cow seems happy. which can be used to advocate for better treatment of animals. But is there any danger or risks to using human terminologies to represent animals' emotions? Whoever would like to start first, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I can start if that's okay. So when we use these human terms to speak about animals, I think that it really helps to create an empathy and create a connection with the animals, because then we suddenly think about their well-being and how they feel. At the same time, what tends to happen is that we tend to start comparing human-like feelings or human-like intelligence, which is such a complex, intelligence is such a complex idea. But when we start to use human-like terms when we speak about animals, then we also tend to compare humans with animals very directly, and what happens then is that it promotes very unrealistic expectations of how animals should behave or animals should react. And many times this is used as an excuse in animal abuse. So I think that we have to be careful about the way we interpret their emotions, but also careful in the way that we speak about them.
Okay, so from my side, personally, I think the human terms, especially when it's going with the emotions, personally, I think those are pretty neutral terms, like happy, sad, struggling, or like anxiety. Those kind of scenarios or emotion are pretty neutral for me. So it's not like this is just like human terms, because other species, they could have the same feelings too, or not, maybe not the same feeling, because even between humans, different people, they have, like, when they feel happy, they'll have different reaction, right? So that's, for me, that's same as the animals. It's just when we're using them, the terms, I think it's kind of like what Rithika just said. Just be careful about what you would kind of like bring them to bonding, because like kind of like happy, and then what kind of other phrases are bonding with happy. Just not give the whoever's are receiving the message have the thinking like, oh, if it's happy, it needs to be bonding with other stuff. Like, people need to see it as, okay, this is a neutral terms, and then all the species are able to use those terms. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, both of you. Yeah, that's a very good point, that you will make a direct comparison and expectation between humans and animals. And I would just read out one comment from Maddie in Philippines. Totally agree. I hear things like it's their fault, they should know better, in situations like stray cats should stay out of gardens, or if animals don't want to get hurt, they shouldn't walk in the streets. What people don't understand is that they aren't that intelligent. They're different. Anything you would like to respond to a comment? Okay. Thank you. So the next topic is pretty big one. You talked about the importance, I think it was Rithika, you talked about the importance of your message being felt by the audience, not just understood. So how, when you make a story, when you think of an idea for the next campaign, how do you decide the tone of the story, and what emotions would you usually try to evoke? Is anger usually the most useful emotion to motivate people to empathize with animals? Whoever wants to start again, please.
Sure. I think that the tone of your message should be decided by, one, how you want your audience to feel. So what is your story about? And the second thing is who your audience is. So when I am thinking of telling a story, I'm always thinking about these two things before I embark on writing it, or before I decide the tone of my story. Of course, the message is important and the context, but having a good balance of all of the emotions is also important. I don't necessarily think that anger should be prominent, because sometimes it kind of makes your audience feel a bit hostile, because all of us react to anger very differently. Some of us shut down, some of us use comedy to deal with it. So for me, anger is not something that I tend to use or associate with effective storytelling, but it does work. I'm sure it does work.
Okay, so I think for me, this is a pretty interesting story for me, because I've been when I first went vegan, I was an angry vegan, so I'm like the anger is with me all the time, like all the time. So, but after I think like 1 or 2 years, I kind of like burn out because of the emotions. It's too much and then too aggressive. And then I figure out that if I burn out because of this emotion, it couldn't last long. And then also just like Tarika said, that some people might get like hesitate, or they might get scared or something. In that case, that the first feeling, the first information they get is the emotion itself. It's not about what you actually want to share with them. So I think it really depends on what scenario or what kind of program you're gonna do, or what are your audience. Let's just say if we're gonna have a speech in a elementary school, in that case, I don't think too aggressive information is suitable. So it really depends on the audience. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a valuable advice. Thank you so much, Erin, and thank you, Rithika. I was just wondering, maybe building up on that, like, do you mind maybe sharing an example of when you try to do a campaign or some kind of storytelling, it could be any form, that actually didn't work in terms of evoking the right emotion? Maybe people got angry, turned off, shut down, as you said, Rithika. I think we all tried different approaches as activists and advocates to try and tell the story of animals, and we sometimes succeed, we sometimes don't. So I was just wondering if in your personal journey, like, can you share an example where it didn't really work very well and how you improved afterwards?
Sure, I have tons of those examples. Like Erin, I was also a very angry vegan in my first year of being vegan, and I was calling up everybody I knew and saying, you need to watch this documentary, you need to read this book, you need to see this video, you need to go to YouTube and search for these videos. And that was not something that worked at all. It put a lot of people off. And then after a year, when I calmed down and I realized that it's not working, my entire so this was, I've been vegan for more than 14 years. So in the last so many years, for me now, my motto is to just live by example. And when somebody asks for information, I am ready with it. I'm ready to give them the truth, and I ask them, are you ready for this? I just did this yesterday. I have some friends who are mothers like me, and one of them was asking me and was very interested in the health benefits of going plant-based. But I was explaining to her about my recent visit to a dairy farm in my city, not very far away from my home. And she said, so tell me what happens over there. And the first question I asked her is, are you ready for this information? And I just stated the facts as is, and this morning I get a message from her saying that she explained the situation. She explained the truth to her 8-year-old daughter, and they both have decided that from today onwards they're going to try as much as possible to not consume any dairy products. They're already vegetarian. So for me now, in so many years, Ellie, I have stories for you of the way it has worked for me more than it hasn't. In my first year, if you asked me this question, I would have many more examples of how it didn't work.
Yeah, as for me, my most of the experiences that like failed, it's mostly families and friends at beginning. Because when you're trying to tell them, okay, so I just learned this new thing from this documentary, blah blah blah, you need to watch this. Oh my god, you know how bad is the meat industry, those kind of things. I think a lot of my friends and some of my family members, they're kind of like have already put the label on vegan itself. So I think, I mean, like after a few years, when I look back, I think that's not actually the right thing to do if I really want them to accept the information. Yeah, so just like Vika said, probably just ask them, are you ready for these informations? And or kind of like tell them a little bit, oh, it could be pretty the crew, or you might feel uncomfortable or something, and then are you ready? Or like just being myself, and then doing like balance it in life. When people see, oh, you're doing this and that, and then they'll kind of get interested in, oh, why you choose to go vegan, those kind of things. Yeah.
Thank you so much, both of you, for being so honest and sharing your experiences as well. I think a lot of us in the room can definitely sympathize and empathize. In chat, I have seen comments from Apurva. Thanks for sharing, Erin. Many of us start out as hungry vegans, but over time, I learned that veganism for me meant having compassion towards all, even humans. I think we can all sympathize with that too. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. If anyone has any questions for Ritika or Erin, or both of them, please share in chat. In the meantime, I was wondering maybe we can come back to the first prompt, Erin, you had. So Erin had the idea of maybe asking the audience to share your experiences of talking about animal rights using storytelling in any form, giving voice to animals, and what kind of reactions you have received in that process. And we can all read them out, react to your experiences as well. So if anyone wants to share your personal experiences in chat, please share away. I think we have one question in the meantime from Shreya. She asks, do you find it sometimes harder to talk to family and friends about these issues than strangers or people who are not as close to you? Either of you.
Yeah, please. I think to whoever's close, it's harder because I think it's like you care about their emotions, or when they or what could they react, and then I don't know, it's just more like you care about if your relationship gonna get affected, because I mean, we both have those kind of experiences before. So I think that's why it's more difficult, because you know each other more, and then you care about each other more, and then sometimes it could be harder to approach based on that condition.
Yeah, I agree with Erin. In all these years, I think I've had more success getting people to think about their choices if they were not part of my family. It's always the strangers or the people who you meet, and are more recent in your life, who tend to take you more seriously. And I think I can draw this analogy very well with children, because I have 2 kids. When I am telling them something, they don't take me as seriously as when somebody else is telling them the same thing, you know, like a teacher or somebody else. So I think that we are all children in a way that we don't want to listen to what our own family is telling us. And we tend to take information more seriously when it comes from an outside source, because I think we are biased, you know, to think that maybe they know more than us.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that has put a lot of people's mind at peace that you both also went through that as well. It's not just us. We have one more question from Panch in India. She asked about factors. So what factors do you consider to determine the success of your story? So I guess, Ritika, you talked about the stats online on social media, but if I'm not misunderstanding your question, Panch, if I am, please follow up in chat. Like, how do you measure success of your campaign using storytelling?
For us, it's pretty it's straightforward, because we see the statistics, we can see the reach, we can see you know, the amount of people that the story has reached in terms of numbers. But the real success comes in conversions, and what we always encourage people to do is to write back to us, you know, to tell us how they feel. For example, after taking up one of our 7-day challenges to try going vegan. And in this way, when we try, we allow for a space for dialogue, and we allow people, and we encourage people to write back or write in. I feel like there is a more of a sense of success than seeing it in numbers.
From my side, well, it's for me, it's at the different stage. At beginning, I probably will care about the numbers more, but right now I think planting the seed in people's heart, it's more important to me. Or if I could get any feedbacks, like when we're doing events or the creations like illustrations, sometimes the feedbacks would be really means a lot for us, because that will know if people are really know what we're saying, or what do they feel. So if I could let's just say if I create a new illustration to measure if it's successful or not, for me, if I get different type of responses, feedback, and that's how I know if people are actually kind of have feelings about it. No matter it's negative or positive, what kind of feedback they provide, that's all means a lot for me.
Thank you so much, both of you. We have another question. What tips or advice would you give for non-meat eaters to deal with people who make fun or criticize vegans or veganism? Sorry, it might not directly connect it to your presentation, but if you have any advice to share.
I would say one of the easiest ways is to join in the fun and make fun of yourselves. I love cracking jokes about vegans. How many vegans does it take to change a light bulb? 2, 1 to change and 1 to read the ingredients. So I think that, you know, as heavy as the subject is and as heavy as the information that we know is, it's important for us, even for our own mental health, to sometimes make fun of our own selves.
Yeah, I'll probably do the same, because I joke a lot as well about vegan, and then I think the point of this is important for me. It's about, you need to know why they're joking about vegan, so that you will know what they're actually thinking, and then you can probably think about, okay, so what's my next story, and then I could include this kind of the point of their views. So this is also a very important information gathering. Yeah, for me, the criticism a joke, but it's like and just say if like a group of friends they're chatting or something and they're like teasing about vegan, maybe first I'll join the joke or something, but I'll see how the flow goes. I'll release some of the information. It's like, yeah, vegans, blah blah blah, but that's why we're doing this. Some kind of things like that.
Thank you so much for this advice, both of you. Okay, so we're coming to an end of our session. Sorry, we had to skip a few questions. Thank you again, everyone, for all the engagement. And thank you, Rithika and Erin, for amazing, wonderful presentations. We learned a lot from you today. And I'm pretty sure that all of the learnings from this session, we can apply to our everyday advocacy on personal level and also organizational level as well. So it's been very, very valuable. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You.
Thank you.